It's time for us to look at stories that made it to the front pages of our dailies this morning. And as is the culture of the house, we'll be starting off with Daily Trust. Now, boldly in front for Daily Trust, federal government to bar 60,000 litres of fuel tankers from roads on from March 1st. Now, that is boldly there in front. Still on Daily Trust, policy will cost truck owners 300 billion naira, says NATO, and 172 truck accidents, 1,896 deaths reported since 2009. The top left, Oshu Council crisis deepens, has sacked chairman, take over LGs. Still there, why we engaged another service provider for the 2025 Hajj, says NACON. Visa denial, Nigeria won't tolerate disrespect from any country, says the CDS. Now on the bottom left, AGF to governors, sacking elected local government chair is treason. All right. Man kills friend after serving him meal. You find out on page 5. And Battle of Wits. Lagos, other state assemblies involved in speakership crisis. Now at the bottom, Senate summons NSA, DSS, NIA over USAID terrorism funding allegation. 8 agency officers have no business in Nigeria, if found to be true, says Akpabio. You'd find that story on page 3. If you are interested in any of the stories, do well to grab yourself a copy of the Daily Trust newspaper. All right, let's take a look at Nigerian Tribune. Alleged funding of Boko Haram by USAID, Senate invites NSA, NIA, and DSS chiefs. On the top left, legal dissolution of local government is treasonable. Nigeria sues Binance for $81.5 billion for economic tax losses. Now, at the bottom left, Carry dispels fuel quality rumor, says it's bad marketing and ticks. Edo Assembly sacks all political appointees. Kebbi APC holds rally, declares support for Tinubu. Adopts Idris for second term. President has been fair to all, says Bagudu. Now, we also see Oshu Assembly condemns takeover of local government secretaries by APC. Adeleke meets British diplomats, berates Ebetoku. Ebetoku doing his job, APC replies Adeleke, and local government crisis reps to investigate current situation. Well, those are the stories we have on the front page of The Guardian. Now, moving on to The Nation. Government moves against tax evasion ahead of the passage of the reform bills. You find that there boldly. And Umari kicks off dualization of Ekpoma Auchio Pela Okene Ajokuta Expressway. All right. Still there, FIRS files suit seeking $79.51 billion from Binance for economic losses. Autonomy not licensed to misuse funds. EFCC warns cancel. NJC voids suspension of Benue CJ by state government. These are the stories we have on the front page of The Nation. Now let's look at Punch. Boldly on Punch there in front, we have Nigeria may miss $603 million fund. Senate summons service chiefs, and Borno asks federal government to lead probe. USAID's 2025 budget targets defense, health, and others. Still on the USAID controversy going on there. Now, still there on Punch, at the top left, Dangote NNPCL refineries not supplying 50% of local fuel demand, says the federal government. CBN probes 19.7 million dormant bank accounts, and Visa against CDS defense handling of Canadian visa application. Still on Punch, Zamfara explosion, ex-governor Yari pays hospital bills as Nema visits victims, and policeman complainant arrested over newlywed death in custody. Lagos Assembly, Obasa denies stockpiling arms, Miranda refused resignation claim. That is the story we have there on Punch. Do well to grab yourself a copy and keep yourself informed. Now let's take a look at Guardian. Council autonomy funding, AGF, EFCC talk tough. Caution governors, LG bosses on treason and fraud. All right. Still on Guardian, Ohaneze, Asaba of Asaba, Wogu, and others mourn Clark and Adebanjo. Still on that, Nigeria secures 1.6 billion naira AI investments from Microsoft. Don't let Oshu descend into chaos, Speaker Olajembesi tells APC. And still then, federal government bans 60 liters petrol tanker as accident claims 3,500 lives. Those are the stories we have on the front page of Guardian newspaper. Now let's take a look at Vanguard. Still on Vanguard, Senate summons NSA DGs of DSS, NIA and DIA, still on the USAID sponsorship of Boko Haram. Nigeria imports 25 million liters of petrol daily, federal government confirms. Now we still have there Adebanjo and Clark, how death of 2 titans in 3 days shook Nigeria. Senate to FG, name national monument after Edwin Clark. All right. Still there, PDP crisis, court declines to stop INEC from recognizing Anyanwu's sack. And Rivers community battles NPDC over alleged diversion of oil wells. On roads, why we're championing concrete technology, says Umahi. Now in sports, Lickman slams deeply disrespectful manager. All right. Well, those are the stories we have on the front page of Vanguard. All right, now coming back here into the studio to review stories about the front pages of our papers this morning. We have Editor-in-Chief Dateline newspaper Nasir Lawal as he joins us this morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. It's good to be here.
All right, let's start. I would want to say let's start with what piqued your interest. All right, let's start with that. Which stories piqued your interest? Which story in particular piqued your interest that you'd love to touch on first?
Actually, there are so many of them.
Let's start with one.
Yeah, well, let's look at the lead story of the Daily first, which talks about the 60,000 liter fuel tankers, going off the road, according to the federal government by March 1. It's unfortunate that we don't even know the volume, of petrol that all these tankers are actually taking. It may be on paper that they are to take 60,000 liters, but these drivers, these road transport owners, they have a way of, tampering with the structure to make sure, they are accommodating more than is normal. And you can also see the road transport workers talking about the fact that they will be losing about 300 billion naira if the ban comes into effect. And then we should also be talking to them about the fact that we are also losing 3,500 or so lives as a result of their activities. But that's not what should be the case. I think the federal government should make it a duty to ensure that not just the fuel tankers taking up to 60,000 liters, even the ones that are taking 33,000 liters, 40,000 liters, and what have you. What arrangement do we have in place, so that once there is disaster, they can respond immediately? Because if you look at the stretch of the road from Abuja to Kaduna, for instance, how many disaster response units or response sites do we have? Something will happen and then hours, the first responders will be nowhere to be found. So honestly, we shouldn't be talking about just the ban alone. We should also be talking about the state of our roads. We should also be talking about the attitude of drivers and other things. So it shouldn't just be about banning because this is only a part of the problem. There are so many others that contribute to the loss of lives, loss of manpower and what have you. So many drivers will make the argument that we have to be using the 60,000 liter to reduce maybe transport time, to reduce cost and what have you. But like the government is trying to say, they should look at the implications. Once there is accident, we tend to lose so many lives. And
even the 60,000 liters is lost as well.
Yeah, so that's another thing, yeah.
All right, when we had this in our phone-in segment, a lot of Nigerians pitched the opinion that it's supposed to be a more holistic approach, tackling all angles to the problem, not just the quantity of fuel being carried. But still in that now, What do you make of Senate summoning NSA, DGs of NSS, NI, DIA, and all? Initially, when I saw it, they were open to having, you know, journalists in, and then they made it a closed-door session much later. What do you expect of this?
You know, this idea of shutting out journalists anytime they are discussing security matters, honestly, I don't think it's the best. If you think the journalists will go to town with some of the information that they will, access through these meetings, the lawmakers are actually doing worse. You know, you see Nigerian lawmakers telling their girlfriends, you know, their friends, you know, what transpired behind closed doors and what have you. So just shutting out journalists, I don't think that's, the right thing to do. But as for the allegations, you know, that necessitated the summoning of the NSA, the DG, DSS, NIA, and what have you, it's unfortunate that Nigerians have to wait, you know, for these allegations to be made by a U.S. congressman for us to see it as an issue. This is something that the NSA, you know, our intelligence gathering agencies, you know, should have known if there is anything of such magnitude. But to say that this is the time, you know, to start asking, you know, after Boko Haram has been in operation for how many years now, you know, with all the killings, with all the destructions and what have you, and see what the Senate President is even saying, that if that happens to be the fact, then the aid agencies should, you know, be like, but that shouldn't be the case, because, okay, what if it is not true? You know, Nigeria has been relying on foreign aid, when in reality we have enough resources, you know, with good leadership to be able to do some of the things that all these development partners are coming in to do. So if we continue along this line, whether it's Boko Haram or any other problem, you know, we should know that countries have their interest. Yes. Don't think a country will just come to your your doorstep and be doing things simply because they want to help you. Well, they want to help you because they also think by helping you, they're also helping themselves. So that's basically the thing. And they may, if they consider, you know, allowing crisis in your country to fester, it's in their own best interest, they will do that. Remember what happened in the course of getting weapons from the United States of America. Sometimes they will just say, you are not respecting human rights, so because of that, you are not going to get the weapons that you need to execute this war. So we should know that countries have their interest. And if we wait for them to be coming to our aid all the time, some things like this will continue to happen.
True indeed. Now, still on this, we're seeing local government autonomy. A lot has been said about it. You know, with the courts coming out to tell governors that we're watching you, you don't have the right to sack, and doing that would cause treason. We'll touch on Oshun later, but let's look at this holistically now. Doing that would cause treason. And they're also cautioning the local government chairman themselves on fraud, and EFCC would come after you. We've had a couple of Nigerians calling here on the show to say, we like it, we want it, and we're going to hold them accountable. Let's boost the grassroots development we've been looking for. What's your take on the stand of the Supreme Court at this point in time? Well,
you see, how many months now? More than 6 months, you know, after the Supreme Court ruling, the local governments are yet to begin, you know, receiving their allocations directly from the government. So why should that be the case? I think if we are to warn governors of interference or anything, let's start with the fact that we have not even implemented the ruling of the Supreme Court more than 6 months after the judgment. So that's the first thing that we should take a look at. And then the local governments that are all over, local government chairmen that are all over the place, trying to say that the CBN is trying to frustrate this, or the government is not doing this, or the EFCC warning them that you don't have immunity from prosecution, so you should watch, you know, your actions in office and all that. The local government chairman should know, you know, if you collude with your governor to do things that are against the Constitution, by the time the law will come after you, the governor may not be there to actually save you. So I like the fact that the EFCC is already, like telling them upfront that, look, if you do this, don't say once we are coming after you to say that, okay, it's political or it's witch hunt or, all the things that we used to say. So I think the AGF that is telling the governors that removing elected local government chairman from office is treason. He should also do the right thing by seeing to it that the implementation of the autonomy, is well in place by giving them the money. Let's give them the money first to see whether they will handle it appropriately, or the EFCC will need to intervene.
All right, still talking about local government, we're seeing what is playing in Osun, the sacking of local government chairmen, and how the ruling party wants to take over. And we're talking about local government autonomy. There's that fear of, no problem, you want to be free, I will simply put in more effort to put my boys in there and we'll work hand in hand. And then you also mentioned these governors have immunity. You as a local government chairman, you do not. So what's your take on this entire local government autonomy based on what is happening in Osun and also in Rivers, that happened in Rivers back then?
I want to side with the argument that we should remove the organization of local government elections from the control of state governors, because once you have that, that's a recipe for things like this to continue. Because if I know that I will decide your fate when it comes to election, that the opinion of the voters do not really matter, we will continue to see things like this. Because once the governors come in, the first thing that they look at is the local governments, because they have found a way of appropriating their resources to their own advantage. So you can't function with a local government that is not in your good books, or someone that is not actually in good relationship with you. So basically that is what is happening in Osun State. The former APC administration sees the presence of the local government chairman as giving it some advantage over the current government in power, while the government is saying that as long as these people remain there, I may not even be able to guarantee my re-election and things like that. So it's just about doing the right thing. Whether the local governments are in place because you brought them, or whether they are there because your predecessor was the one who organized the election that produced them. If we are doing the right thing, honestly, we wouldn't worry about who is in office or who is not, because even the ones that you will work for, the ones that you will ensure, in the local government councils, they may turn against you, because we have seen that happen so many times. So the governors and all the stakeholders, not just the governors, the local government chairmen, the political parties, and all the others that have a thing to do with it, should just try and play the right thing. If they fail to do the right thing, at least we have institutions that are also there, the courts and the electoral bodies and what have you, to also be able to do the right thing on their own part.
But still on this now, in your experience, do you even see this kicking off? The implication of the local government autonomy?
Well, I can only pray at this time, because you never know with Nigerian governors. Sure. When the president started talking about it, we had so much confidence that this thing will just take off immediately. But politics has been allowed to permeate the whole thing. You hear the president telling the governors when they visited him during the Christmas break that nobody is trying to take the local governments away from you. That's like soft pedaling on his earlier position, warning them that this is an independent government, so we should allow them to be independent without trying to exert any form of control over them. If he allows the governors to come in with politics, they say politics is all about give and take. So, but they should think also about the people. Are they abandoning the people because of one or two interests? If that is the case, then it's unfortunate.
It's quite unfortunate indeed. Well, we're watching and we'll see how it all plays out in the long run. Now, we're seeing this back and forth with Dangote Refinery and NNPCL. We know that we have the Warri and the Port Harcourt Refinery now functioning, even if they're saying the type of petroleum that they are producing is something quite different that we can't even speak to just yet. But now they are coming out to say that both refineries put together are not supplying 50% of petroleum for local production, and we're still importing petrol till now. What do you make of this? What do you make of this industry and the back and forth they are putting Nigerians in with not understanding the information they are putting out at this point?
Well, I think it's clear that some people in government, are not interested in hearing about, the end of importation of fuel. Probably they are benefiting in one way or the other. And even this about this local consumption that they are talking about, honestly, I don't think, with all the subsidy, with all the new current price regime and what have you, I don't think we are consuming up to 50 million liters a day. Honestly, I don't think so. But maybe going forward, we should be able to know exactly the amount of fuel that we are, consuming. Because, the argument is that, some are taking it because the fuel is cheap here in Nigeria, so they will just take it here and take it to neighboring countries and be making money at the expense of Nigeria. But for a government institution to be the one saying that, they are not supplying up to 50%, when the last time we read, Dangote is like exporting some of the products he has been refining. So honestly, we should find a way, because Dangote is in business. He is there to make money. If at all there is the market for his products, honestly, I don't think he will be so much interested in taking the product outside when you don't even know what will happen along the line. There may be 1 or 2 accidents. You may lose 1 or 2 things because of transportation from one point to the other. So if truly the market is there, I don't think he will be taking his products to foreign countries when he can do that within Nigeria and still be able to make his money.
We really hope for transparency, because the cost of petrol, the lack of transparency, the opaque nature of the industry is costing Nigerians so much that it ripples down to the end users. But let's go back now to a little bit of political issues. Lagos Assembly. What do you make of all that's playing out there? We're seeing Miranda's supposed resignation that they came out to debunk. We're seeing Obasa and the whole stockpiling of arms. There's a lot playing out in the Lagos State Assembly. What do you make of it?
Well, they said it's all about, politics of Lagos, people trying to show who is in charge, where you have your strength, because since the former speaker, that's the one that was removed, Obasa, declared interest in, having a go at the governorship position, things just changed in the State House of Assembly. But I think the president should be able to settle this. I know they will say they are an independent, arm of government, so the executive should not interfere. But honestly, this thing is turning into more than a circus show now. It's even putting the lives of people in danger, since we are beginning to hear about arms. Some people saying some are stockpiling arms, some people are denying it. So honestly, we shouldn't allow the thing to deteriorate further. So the president should intervene. I know from what we read in the papers that he had tried doing that in the past, and somehow there was a dead end. But this is something that he should continue to push, because whatever happens in Lagos, will have a way of affecting his image as the president, because we all see him as the man in charge of the politics of Lagos, and so if he cannot handle the Lagos problem at the moment, then
what is the guarantee of national problem?
That's the thing.
All right, the CDS is still, I wouldn't want to use the word shouting, but he's still on the case of them being denied visa into Canada. And it says Nigerian won't tolerate disrespect from any country. I know I had a chat with someone who said it's just like going to knock on someone's door and they say don't come in. So but what do you make of his reaction and the denial of the visa? What does this mean, for Nigeria? What do you make of all of that?
I think it's high time for him to stop talking about the whole issue, because already the federal government has taken over the matter from what we have had. If you are talking about, the fact that they denied you visa, like you said, it's their country. They may decide to say, no, we don't want you. And they may also allow you to go there. But, I find so many contradictions in some of the things that, even the CDS said. Because, when he mentioned that at the security conference just recently, the NSA said, thank you for, having the courage to speak about that. It was like the NSA was hearing about it for the first time. But here, the CDS is saying that the DSS is aware, the NSA is aware. So at what point were they aware of all the things that transpired? Honestly, I don't think we are handling it, the best way we can. You should have just summoned the Canadian ambassador, seek for explanation, handle it diplomatically, because tomorrow you don't even know what will happen. Already we have a case that involves some of their, this Binance thing that,
yes.
So probably that's the reason they are even doing, the things that they are doing. And, Nigeria, we have not been able to handle this, even our own internal affairs in the best possible manner. So all these countries are actually taking note. So if you cannot do it within your own country, you don't expect us to be playing, to your own tune. So that's basically what has happened. And I think the CDS, honestly, should just stop talking about this thing in public. Let them continue to handle it diplomatically, so that if there is need to take a tit for tat, somehow, let's do it. But if we don't have a cause to do all these complaints, honestly, we should just let it go.
All right, now let's take a look at the death of two titans, Edwin Clark and Adebanjo of Afenifere. Both died at a well-respectable age. What do you make of that? How do you see that? Do you think we have people in Nigeria today at this moment that if something happens to them would have throwbacks and stories of how impactful they've been, looking at the lives Edwin Clark and the Adebanjo lived so far?
Honestly, I think they have made, their impact, and somehow they have successfully beaten all the things about life expectancy. If you read from what even the NBS and what have you are saying, they will tell you life expectancy in Nigeria is around 60, 50 years. These are people that have lived well beyond 90, and so they have made their impacts. And I can only sympathize, condole with their families, because no matter how old people are, they still have families who, cherish their presence and what have you. But for the impact they have had on the national stage, even though some will say, towards the end, they have resorted to their being regional voices or champions. Honestly, I don't think that should be the case. We should start from the regional to the national stage, so that this talk about unity that we are always talking about will come to fruition, not just about you being a national player today and then retiring as a regional player. Honestly.
All right, we look forward to having national players that will put the interest of every single part and every single Nigerian, not minding ethnic groups, at heart, and speak for Nigerians. Thank you so much, Nasir Lawal, for always bringing fresh perspective to our headlines and our stories from the newspaper. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Just joining us, we're having a chat with Nasir Lawal, editor-in-chief, Dateline newspaper, where we're looking at stories that made it to the front pages of our newspaper. Now, if you know, we've come to the end of the show this morning. I hope we're able to keep you informed and educated one way or another on all we had packed for you today. My name is Lilian Ogazi. Thank you so much for sticking around. We'll do this again tomorrow. Bye for now.